Right, so welcome everyone to our Wednesday morning gentle and restorative class. So you will need some props, so a couple of pillows if you don't have a bolster. You might want pillows anyway, blanket, cushion, that kind of thing. And we will lie down onto our backs. So do make yourself comfy. You might have something underneath the knees. You might have the knees bent, soles of the feet on the mat with the feet a little bit wider than the hips so that the knees can touch. And you might have the arms away from the body, palms up, so that the shoulders can release, or you might have the hands on the belly or the heart. And just see if you could roll the shoulders down away from the back of the head, just a little. And maybe the chin dropping slightly to the chest. And all that's doing is just lengthening the back of the neck and allowing you to become aware of the shoulders and the neck and feel that perhaps there could be a slight release there in case there's any holding. And take those longer, deeper breaths so that you can begin to settle. And then allow your awareness to just rest on the breath without really needing to do anything with the breath. And just seeing if you can welcome your whole body here. Resting on the ground, your whole body becoming present and maybe gradually still. And see if you can welcome all parts of yourself. So maybe you can welcome in your tired self. And you could welcome in the parts of you that are tight or stuck or maybe even painful. You could welcome in yourself, which is maybe in cycles of blame or judgment, resentment or criticism lately. You could welcome in yourself that's felt stressed or overwhelmed. And also welcome in that self that just desires to have ease and contentment and happiness. And offering all parts of yourself, maybe a little smile or just a recognition of friendliness, compassion. Morning, Anna. We're just starting lying down when you're ready. No rush to get there. So resting here, feeling the body on the ground. And this week we're exploring acceptance in place of blame or resentment. And Eckhart Tolle said, whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it yourself. Always work with it, not against it. This will miraculously change your life. So acceptance is a powerful practice, but like all of this, it is a practice. It allows us to see things clearly, beyond the mind-made filters and the constructs within the mind, helping us to be in the present moment. We'll explore this as we move through our practice and see if we can invite in a sense of acceptance towards ourselves, our relationships, our lives, and whatever difficulties we might have at the moment. So just taking some slightly longer, deeper breaths now. Maybe there's a little sigh out through the mouth where you just sense that release. That deep wish of the body to let go. And then when you're ready, draw the knees into the chest. Have a little rock side to side. And then take an inhale, squeezing the knees in. And as you exhale, bring the left foot onto the mat. interlace the fingers around the right knee or shin and bring that knee slightly out to the side and towards the belly and the chest. But going easy here, you know, maybe the arms are just kind of heavy rather than using all the strength in your arms to draw that knee in. Maybe it's just a little bit softer today if you feel that's what your body needs. And see if you can allow, again, the neck and shoulder to release, chin towards chest. You get a sense of maybe the spine lengthening, the tailbone lengthening, and the whole of the back of the body resting on the ground. And getting that sense that there's actually nothing that you really need to do here. You know, you really feel and sense that there's nothing to get wrong or right. Just being here with the breath, with the body just as it is. And then begin to circle through that right ankle. And again, here, you might go nice and slow, just easing out any tightness and tension in that ankle. And then circle the other way. And then take an inhale, bring that right leg into the air and interlace the fingers around the thigh. You might just lengthen the right hip away ever so slightly. And you might push through the heel, but quite gently. So you're just gradually kind of lengthening up through that leg. It doesn't need to be straight. So as you inhale, just gently pressing the heel away, and as you exhale, point the toes. So you kind of feel that you're getting a stretch across the top of the foot and the ankle. And then as you inhale, you press through the heel. And exhale, point the toes. Taking your time with your breath. There could be a slight little drawing in through the belly as you exhale. You might feel the pelvic floor lift just ever so slightly. Again, it's quite subtle. And then take another inhale, and as you exhale, bring the right ankle across the left knee, and you might just stay there with the left foot on the mat, or you might draw the knee in and interlace the fingers around the left thigh, but just see how that feels in the right hip. You know, remembering that you don't have to go to your deepest sensation or stretch. Morning, Emma. And allowing the body to rest. And just taking your time. Again, just check in with shoulders and neck and allow that to really soften and let go here. So as a way of kind of exploring your own habits, and do remember that these habits, they are habits within the mind, your own habits of blame. And I would probably say we all have them. I've been sharing some of mine, which kind of make me laugh when I say them out loud. And you might kind of get a sense of that yourself. When you start to see your own, you start to go, oh God, that's just ridiculous. And this is kind of part of it. It's kind of bringing it to the surface and seeing it for what it is. So my favorite blaming habits include blaming my husband when I'm really tired, when I'm busy and overwhelmed, and I feel that he's not doing enough around the house. Even though when I look at it, I can see he's doing his fair share. I blame myself when I've had a bad night's sleep and I feel unmotivated. And there's even been times when I blame the wind when I'm feeling irritable. So just exploring, you know, maybe any blaming habits that you might have. And I think probably our favorite one, everybody has this one, where something's been left in the middle of the room, you stub your toe and you look around for somebody to blame. Who left that there? When actually, really what happened was you were busy, you were rushing, you were doing something else, and that's why you stubbed your toe. So just have a little explore of that in your mind for a moment, and hopefully it does make you kind of smile and not take it too seriously, but remembering we're just bringing awareness to all of this. And then take another inhale. And as you exhale, bring the left foot down, but keep the right ankle where it is, and lengthen that left leg. So the right ankle might stay on the left knee, and you might just allow that right knee to drop away depending on how that feels. That might feel like plenty. You might press through the left heel, and you might draw the right foot up towards the left hip, but that bit's not essential, so just go to where feels right for that leg. It might not be, you might just kind of rest there, you know, it might just be a kind of a bit more of a soft pose. You might have the hands on the belly, you might have them out to the side, but do press through that left heel, just staying connected through that leg, and just taking some breaths and feeling the rise and fall of the chest, and the rise and fall of the belly, and that support, that unconditional support that the ground has for you. And then take another deep inhale. And as you exhale, bend back into that left leg. So if the right knee is up towards the hip, just draw it away. And then bring the sole of the foot back down onto the mat. And then bring that right knee back into the chest. Give it a little squeeze. And then take an inhale. And as you exhale, release the foot back down. And just pause for a moment. Either the feet on the mat or the legs long, and just notice that right side compared to left, that left side compared to right. What do you notice, if anything? Maybe there is no real difference. And then when you're ready, draw the knees back in, have a little rock side to side, take an inhale. And then the right foot onto the mat, interlace the fingers around the left knee and shin. Draw the knee slightly out to the side and then in towards the chest. And again, it's a kind of heaviness in the arms rather than a real drawing in. Unless you want to, unless that feels really good and a really nice stretch. But if you want it just to be a bit more gentle this morning, just to see if you can almost, like you're interlacing the hands so they stay together and the knee stays there, but everything else just softens. The elbows bend, the shoulders soften. And we can even practice this kind of letting go of striving and doing. You know, you're not doing your practice here, you're just kind of being your practice. And then you can circle through that left ankle. Nice and slow, easing out any tension, and then circle the other way. And then bringing that left foot into the air, interlace the fingers around the thigh, press the thigh into the hand a little, and see if you can just lengthen that left hip away slightly. And then you can press through the heel a little. Just check in with the neck and the shoulders. You know, if you did need anything underneath the head, you could do that. If you feel that you're kind of straining, maybe just chin towards chest slightly. So as you inhale, you're pressing the heel away. And then as you exhale, you're pointing the toe. And go slow. You might even just kind of pause. And then the inhale comes and the foot starts to move again. And exhaling. And then take an inhale, and then exhale, bring the left ankle across the right knee. You can keep the right foot on the mat. That might feel like loads. Or draw the knee in and interlace the fingers around the thigh. And again, that little pause, just checking in with shoulders and neck. So blame basically takes us out of the present moment. It can, maybe it serves to kind of take the responsibility away and the focus away from us. So it kind of protects us from really looking at our own actions and our own lives. So in that way it kind of keeps us safe. Or it's trying to keep us safe. So it can lead to that kind of quiet disconnect or dis-ease in the body, in the mind. And what I've noticed is my habits of blame come to the surface when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm stressed, when I'm tired. But if I step back and I kind of widen my perspective, I can kind of see what's really going on rather than what's going on in the mind. But if I didn't do that, I might take the example of my husband, blaming my husband for everything. I might speak to him in a critical tone, create like a petty disagreement, create separateness from us. And over time, that can have an impact on the relationship. But if instead I pause, take a deep breath, see what's really going on, and see that actually the responsibility firmly sits with myself and not him, then I can do things about it. You know, if I am working more, I've got more going on, then I could ask for more help. And I could talk to him about it, rather than having that knee-jerk reaction. So it's being able to step out of the immediate situation and just really see the fuller picture. So take another inhale here. And as you exhale, bring that right foot down, keep the left ankle where it is, and then gradually lengthen that right leg. Pressing through the heel, you might keep the left ankle where it is, or you might draw it up towards the hip. But be gentle with that knee and the thigh. And do press through the right heel as well. So you're staying connected through that leg. And if you can, the pelvis is fairly level. If you need to keep a hand on the left foot, then you could, if that kind of helps to keep it there. But the pelvis is level, the shoulders are level. And just a few deep breaths there. And then take another inhale. And as you exhale, bend back into that right leg, bringing the left knee back into the chest. Give it a little squeeze. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, release. And bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And if you need pillows either side of the legs, then do that. You might bring the hands over the head, maybe into cactus arms, or hands out to the side, or even taking opposite elbows if that feels good. But just having that kind of opening into the front of the body, and perhaps there's a tiny little back bend, but no issues there, no pinching into the lower back. And just that gentle release through the inner legs, the groin. Nice deep breaths there. So you might start to notice your own habits, and remember they are habits, they're deeply rooted habits within the mind. Your own blaming habits. And if you do start to notice these, please be gentle with yourself. You know, don't think that, oh, I've got this wrong, or I'm a horrible person, or anything like that. You know, really be kind and know that this has been deeply ingrained within your mind for a long time. And compassion is the most important thing here. And I always think of it like an emotional edge. We have an emotional edge the same way we do a physical edge. So in the same way, if something physically was just a little bit too much for your body, you would back away. You know, we learn that really early on in our yoga practice to do that. So it's the same with an emotional edge. So just back away and soften around the edges of it, and then you might start to kind of get a bit closer to it, as we do with our physical edge. You know, the body gradually opens up in the same way that, you know, the thoughts, the emotions, all that's going on will gradually open up, and you'll see things more and more clearly as you explore this. Take another inhale here. And as you exhale, bring the hands down to the legs, draw them back in, and then in towards the chest. And again, maybe a little rock side to side or circling through the knees or anything that just feels good there. Or even just a pause. And then we're going to come back up. So you can roll over to one side, or you can roll on the length of the spine, whichever feels good. And then we'll come over to tabletop. So hips over knees, shoulders over wrists, draw the belly in a little, so you're keeping that flat back. Yeah, you can move through a couple of rounds of cat-cow if you're already there. Just easing out any tension in the spine. This is a great go-to pose. Brilliant one in the morning just to release any tension when you literally first wake up. And then the next time that you exhale, just coming back to a neutral point, and then we'll inhale and lift that right knee and begin to circle through the hip. So it doesn't need to be big unless it feels good to be a big circle. Do that a couple more times. So you're inhaling, lifting the knee. Make sure the belly is drawn in and you feel that connection through the core so that you're not back bending. Inhale to lift the knee, nice circle. And then as you exhale, press the heel away, so lengthen the leg and draw the belly in again. So just making sure that you're drawing in, and see if you can drop the right toes to the mat so that the hip drops as well. Take another inhale, and then as you exhale, bring that foot down. So you might press back through the hands, bring the hand down, and then you're on the left hand and you're reaching the right hand up. So like a modified side plank, if you like. And you might open up through that side, depending on how that's feeling, drawing back through the right shoulder, reaching up, take an inhale. And as you exhale, you might bring the hand over the head, depending on how that feels for the shoulder, palm facing down, so that it's maybe a bit more of a stretch through the side from the toe all the way up to the fingertips. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, release. Come to your child's pose for a moment and just lift the wrists. Maybe you're just on the elbows, and just give the wrists a few circles. And circle the other way. And then you can come back to your tabletop. We'll do the other side. So make sure the belly is drawn in. Really important there. Feel that you're lengthening the tailbone. And see if you can keep with that connection as you move through the hips. So you're inhaling, lifting the left knee, circling round. Remember, it doesn't need to be a big circle. You're inhaling to lift. And just kind of being aware of that hip joint. How does it feel to move it in this way? And then lengthening that leg away. Press through the heel, draw the belly back in, press into the hands a little, and then bring that foot down onto the mat. You might press into the hands like the leg is going a little bit further away, and then you're lifting up through that left hand into that modified side plank, reaching up through the fingertips and drawing back through the shoulder. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, you might bring the hand over the head. If it doesn't feel right for the shoulder, then don't do that bit. Just keep the hand straight up. And then just feel a stretch through the side body. Feel as if you could breathe into the side ribs a little there as well. And then take an inhale and exhale, release. And sit back to your child's pose. And again, if it feels good to circle the wrists, you could, or you could just bring the arms beside the body as a release. So seeing what you need. And then coming forward into your tabletop again. Spread the fingertips and then tuck the toes into down dog. And this can be a soft down dog. It doesn't need to be your biggest stretch. Do go nice and gently with the body if that's what's needed today. There might be very deep bends into the knees, and that's a good thing as well. I'm really feeling that you're embodying that sense of compassion and kindness towards yourself. So, you know, sometimes we get to our mats and we think, oh, I need to push this, I need to release this tension in the body, or I need to do this. And again, that's just the mind creating stories that and not necessarily true. The mind does this. So try to be aware and let yourself be guided by what the body is saying rather than what the mind is saying. And then when you're ready, you can walk the feet to the hands into your forward fold. You could take opposite elbows, have a little rock side to side, or you could bring the elbows onto the knees and bend the knees. But let go of the head, whichever one is right for your body there. Let go of the jaw. Let yourself soften in. Breathe into, almost like you're breathing into the shoulder blades. Nice deep breaths. Letting go of tightness and tension. So then when we've kind of noticed any blaming habits that we might have, we see how we can invite in acceptance. Acceptance is so wonderful for so many different things. And it's a great quality to cultivate around in response of blame. So we learn to identify the habits of blame, to let them go, and then to invite in a sense of acceptance. So take another inhale here. And as you exhale, release the hands towards the earth. Bring the hands onto the shins and take an inhale and gaze forward. So find that length through the back of the body. The knees might still be quite bent. That's fine. You're just lengthening through the back, and as you exhale, fold back in. So there's like a releasing down. You might bring the hands to the backs of the legs to help you draw in. See how that feels. Do that a couple more times with your breath. So you're inhaling, gazing forward, draw the shoulder blades away from the head, and as you exhale, folding in. Inhale to gaze forward. And exhaling, folding in. And then planting the hands down, step back with left leg, drop the knee, right knee over ankle at the front, bring the hands onto the knee and anything that you might need under that left knee as well. And as you inhale, there's like a little bit of a lift through the spine and the crown of the head, and as you exhale, draw the right hip in and the belly in. So just tiny movements. You probably couldn't even see them, but you kind of feel that connection inwards. It's almost as if the inner thighs are drawing towards one another, but the knee is staying over the ankle at the front. And then as you inhale, you can inhale, reach the hands up to the top. And then as you exhale, draw the biceps in around the head, as if you were holding something in the hands. Big beach ball, maybe. But the arms are working a little there. And then take an inhale. And as you exhale, release the hands behind, interlace the fingers. Inhale, open up through the chest, but at the same time, draw the belly in and keep that connection into the core. No real back bending there. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, release the hands down. So you just onto the fingertips. And then as you inhale, lift the heart just a little there. And as you exhale, begin to straighten that right leg. And again, it doesn't need to be straight, just where it feels right, drawing the right hip back. So as you inhale, you come forward. And as you exhale, draw back. And keeping the big toe on the mat as well there. Keep all the toes on the mat. Exhaling forward. And just kind of moving, gliding through the joints, through the fascia of the body. And then the next time you inhale, come forward, bring the hands on the inside of that leg, and you might want to move that right foot slightly out to the side. So the shoulders are over the wrists. The right knee is slightly drawing in, so keep it connected basically. Keep it, the thigh working. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, have a little bend into the elbows and maybe just sink the pelvis towards the earth. Like literally a tiny, tiny amount. You probably feel it almost straight away. And then as you inhale, come back up. And as you exhale, step that right foot back. Come back to your child's pose, or have any movement in your tabletop that you might need to. And just notice that right hip and leg. And even if you just pause in your child's pose, there might even just be a little sway side to side through the hips. Or if, stillness is sometimes just what the body needs as well. So, see. And then as you inhale, come back to your tabletop and exhale to your down dog. Make sure the fingertips are nicely spread, and if you can, that space between thumb and index finger is planted down. And again, have a little walk out through the legs. It's almost like a wiggle side to side through the hips as well, so you can open up through the side. And then beginning to walk the feet to the hands, back to your forward fold. If you took opposite elbows last time, do it the way that feels strange, the opposite hand in the front. And if maybe you're just on the knees, on the thighs, bending, but release the head, release the jaw. Nice deep breaths there. Softening in, breathing into the shoulder blades again. And acceptance in the way that we use it in mindfulness is not a kind of passive acceptance of something that might be completely intolerable, and it's not giving up, it's not resignation, and it's not to do with detachment either. And when we look at the root of the word, it comes from the same words as capture and perception. So really meaning to receive or take hold of something, really to grasp and understand. So acceptance in this sense allows the minds to kind of really embrace the true understanding of how things really are. And it basically allows us a kind of pause and allowing, a letting be. So that we're not in automatic pilot mode, which we can so often live our lives. So we can be aware of difficulties, we can be aware of painful things that are happening, but we respond to them in a very skillful way rather than that knee-jerk reaction. So take another inhale. And as you exhale, release the hands down. Bring the hands onto the shins as you inhale and gaze forward. Lengthen through the spine. Remember, the knees can be bent. And as you exhale, fold in. Do that a couple of times with your breath. Inhaling to lengthen the spine. Draw the shoulders away from the head. Exhaling, folding in. Inhale long. And exhaling, folding in. And then plant the hands down, step back, right leg. Knee comes down, left knee over ankle. Bring the hands onto the knees. And as you inhale and lift and lengthen up, draw the left hip in, draw the belly in. Soften down through the shoulders. And then as you inhale, you could reach the hands up to the top and do that little kind of squeeze in around the head, as if you're holding something in the hands, but just check in with the belly. I know for me, I have a tendency to go into a back bend at that point. I have to make sure I remember to draw in. Take another inhale, and as you exhale, release the hands behind. Interlace the fingers the opposite way, so the other little finger outside, and draw the shoulder blades towards one another. Squeezing into the shoulder blades. Take another inhale, and as you exhale, release. Bring the fingertips onto the mat and take an inhale and lift the heart. And as you exhale, begin to straighten that left leg, keeping the toes on the mat. Maybe the forehead moves towards knee or shin. And then just move through that with your breath. So you're inhaling forward. And as you exhale and draw back, just see if you can draw the left hip back a little. So remember, it doesn't mean it needs to be a straight leg. Inhale forward. And just feel that kind of gliding across joints and muscles and ligaments. And it's said that this type of moving through the joints it really kind of stimulates the synovial fluid and gets it all flowing again through the knee, the hip. And then the next time that you inhale forward, bring the hands on the inside, make space for the shoulders, so that foot might come out to the side slightly, but keep the knee drawn in just a little. And then take an inhale, and as you exhale, bend into the elbows. It might literally be like ½ an inch of a bend. It doesn't need to be big. You might feel that straight away into the hips, inner groin area. And then take an inhale, come back up to the top, and then exhale, step the left leg back. And as ever, into your child's pose, or maybe tabletop, and any circles that you might need, moving through the hips. And just softening in. And then take an inhale, coming back to tabletop if you're not there, releasing the legs forward. We're going to come into legs apart. I'd say wide legs, but it doesn't need to be wide. It can be quite together if you need to. Tuck away with the pelvis. Press through the heels a little. If you need anything underneath the knees as well, you could even have like pillows under the knees if you feel very strong into the backs of the legs. Little bit of pressure through the heels. Interlace the finger. In fact, just bring the hands beside the hips and take an inhale and lengthen through the spine. So you're getting that lift through the heart and through the crown of the head. And then bring the hands together, interlace the fingers, and then begin to kind of stir your big pot. So you can reach forward with the hands and then round. So it's like an inhale when you come back to the top, and as you exhale, you're reaching forward and round. It doesn't need to be big circles, so it can be small depending on what's happening in the hips. But if it feels nice, it could start to get bigger and more open. Just be and go with where feels right for the body. And then the next time you come up to the top, take an inhale, find length, and as you exhale, circle the other way. Taking your time. And then the next time you come up, release the hands, bend into that left leg, and bring the sole of the foot into the thigh. So hopefully at that point you're still kind of sitting on the pelvis, on the sit bones. If you need a cushion or anything underneath that knee, you could bring something under there. Pressing through that right leg, inhale to lift the spine, and as you exhale, begin to turn over that leg. So you might use the left hand to just draw yourself over the leg, and then take another inhale. And as you exhale, it's like maybe an inching down over that leg, not really worrying where you get to, but how it feels in the body. So it might be strong into the back of the leg, or it might be into the left side of the back. See if you can soften down through the hip a little. Soften into the arms, so you're kind of not pulling or striving too much, rather just letting this happen. And just breathing into that, breathing into those spots where you just feel an opening. And then take another inhale, lengthening up, and as you exhale, walk the hands back. And then swap over the legs, so lengthen that left leg, sole of the foot in towards the thigh. And as you inhale, lift the heart, and as you exhale, twist towards that long leg. Inhale, lifting again, and then exhaling, inching your way down. There might be a little bit of pressure through the heel just so that that leg stays engaged. And you could just soften then through shoulders and elbows. Soften through the neck, you know, make sure you're not kind of holding the neck. The head can be kind of not hanging, but kind of soft. The back of the neck is soft. And just see if that right hip maybe raises a little. Is it possible just to soften into it? And that sense of breathing into the tight spots. And then take another inhale. And exhale, walking your way back up. Bringing that knee in. Bending the knees and bringing the hands behind and just lifting the heart a little, opening up through the chest. And then release. And then we're going to create our supported back bend. You're welcome to use your bolster, but do make sure that it's not too much of a back bend. You might prefer to use pillows if you have them there. So if you haven't got a bolster, do make sure you've got that little step between each thing that you put on top, because that will just create a really nice support for the lower back. So we don't want any pinching in the lower back or any pain. So a nice place where you can really settle in. So you're kind of making that a really comfortable ledge for the back of the body. And as you settle down, you might have the soles of the feet on the mat a little bit wider than the hips so that the knees can rest together, or you might have the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, or equally just have the legs long. So just feel into which is right. Maybe the shoulders kind of drape across the pillows or the bolster, and then the hands are resting on the ground, palms facing up. But remember, no issues in the lower back. So if you need to maybe remove one pillow or raise your bolster, then make sure you do that. See if you can really soften in. Coming back to the breath and coming back to that sense of welcoming all of you here in this space. Welcoming all the parts of you so that they can be present right here, right now, just as they are. So welcoming in your tired self or your stressed self. Welcoming in maybe the parts of yourself that you notice have habits of blaming or criticism. And also welcoming in the joyful parts of you, the happy parts, the parts that feel at ease. Welcoming in that part of you that desires to be free from suffering and be free from limiting thoughts and beliefs. You feel that you can welcome all the parts of you with a friendliness, a kindness. Kind of know that you're all welcome here, just as you are. And drawing your awareness to your breath and just simply feel the flow of air. Not really needing to do anything with the breath, but just an awareness of the rising and falling of the chest. Gentle movement of air in and out of your belly. Noticing that your body breathes on its own. And noticing how you can allow this breath to just come and go. There's no judgment, there's no criticism of this breath. There's an allowing, there's a complete acceptance of each breath just as it is. So with this same quality, could we turn to any blaming habits that we may have noticed? And this same quality of acceptance, could we offer that to any habits of blaming? Could we see what the blaming habits are really about? The stories around them, maybe the emotions, any thoughts around them. And have that quality of acceptance, allowing and letting be. And know that this simple noticing of the habits of blaming is enough. Once we notice, once we become aware, we can't help but change things. We can't help but do things differently next time. That's the beauty of awareness. And then taking some longer, deeper breaths. A little bit of movement into fingers and toes. When you feel ready to move out, if the knees are wide, help them back in. You might roll off your props to come out. And we'll go into that supported child's pose when you do come out, but there's no rush to get there. So I find the supported child's pose just allows any back bending that was there just to release. So slowly get there. Whether you don't have to use support either, you might find that it's nice without, but I find it's quite nice for the belly and the chest to have that connection with either pillows or bolster. So take your time to get there, maybe having one cheek on the props and having that resting in. Nothing to do but watch your breath come and go. And then you could bring the opposite cheek on your prop, easing out the other side of the neck. And if the mind did wander, just gently bring it back to the breath. take some deeper breaths. And then slowly begin to roll up. And take any movements that you might need, or just simply sit in stillness. And we're going to do legs up the wall, although I know many of you have a bolster, so you might do pelvis on the bolster with legs in the air. Or legs on the sofa or bed, depending on where you are. But no rush to get there, just when you feel ready. And if you're using a wall, I find you need to get quite close to the wall for this to really work. And then you can swing the legs up. And the knees can be bent, so don't feel again that you have to straighten the legs. They can be quite bent. It's about getting the feet higher than the heart. And you might come into cactus arms if the back is like fully on the ground. And even if you're using your bolster, you might find that cactus arm is quite nice. I find that it gives me a kind of grounding. But obviously if it doesn't work for your shoulders, then make something a bit softer, maybe even hands on belly or heart. If you are menstruating or you've got any issues in the pelvis, there's no real reason why you can't do this. But if you just feel that it doesn't feel right, maybe there's a heaviness or something, then obviously just come out and you can just lie down. There's no real reason not to do it. I find I can normally not stay in it for as long. Let's see for yourself. And have that kind of softening. Back of the body being held. Legs just supported in the air, maybe by the wall or furniture. Or just simply resting in the air. See how that feels. And you could draw your awareness now to your exhalation in particular. And a slight lengthening of an exhalation. Not that you need to have your deepest and longest exhale, but just a general sense that the exhale is a little bit longer. And it's as if the exhalation sinks the body further down into the earth. It's like a letting go a little bit more. And in that letting go, could you have the awareness that you could let go of any blaming habits with that exhalation? It's as if with each out-breath, they release. They release physically from the body. They release from the mind. And in place of that is acceptance. So you might even feel that you breathe in acceptance. And you breathe out that letting go of blame, or the habits of blame. And taking a few longer breaths, just signaling to your body you're about to move. And gently and gradually come back out. When you're ready, no rush. And we're going to go into Shavasana. So for those of you on a bolster, you can literally just bring the pelvis down and move it down, maybe behind the knees. But if you feel you need any movement, so you might want to hug knees in, circle, anything else that you feel you need. Make yourself warm and comfortable. And in many ways, our Shavasana is the kind of embodiment of acceptance. We just lie here and allow all that is, letting be. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So beginning to find your breath again. When you're ready, little movements into fingers and toes. Drawing the knees in. And slowly and gently coming back. Pausing when you come to sit, maybe eyes closed or gaze soft. Just being with whatever your practice has created for you. And as you move through the rest of your day and week, you might just see if you can be aware of any habitual blaming that you do in life. Maybe when life gets hard, there's a struggle, and if you can notice this, if you can catch it, just offer yourself a few gentle deep breaths. Just notice maybe what is actually around that blaming. See if you can see the stories around it, and invite in acceptance. Bringing the hands to prayer, closing with one Om. Take a deep breath in. Om. So thank you for your practice. Namaste.